When hundreds of thousands of people were forced to flee their homes when Hurricane Katrina slammed into the Gulf Coast in late August 2005, several hundred of those evacuees found shelter in the city of Lufkin. City crews worked with relief agencies to not only prepare the United Pentecostal Church campground as a shelter, but also help provide security, medical services, and other assistance to those displaced by the storm. Several area churches opened their doors to provide assistance, as well as some Lufkin residents even welcomed evacuees into their homes. Many of those evacuees were still calling Lufkin home when less than 1 month later, an even stronger storm, the strongest measured hurricane to have ever entered the Gulf of Mexico, began churning towards the Texas and Louisiana coast. Cities along the Texas coastline and as far inland as Houston were urged to evacuate as the massive storm approached. Experts predicted that the new storm, Hurricane Rita, might not only batter coastal cities with sustained winds of 120 miles an hour and up to 20 inches of rain, but could also move inland with equal intensity. The eye of the storm was expected to pass directly over Angelina County. Many more thousands of evacuees, particularly from the Beaumont and Houston areas, were expected to pass through Angelina County and the city of Lufkin. That meant that city officials and area residents not only had to brace for the potential impact of the storm itself, but also had to prepare for the crush of people seeking shelter from that storm. The evacuees began pouring into town days before Hurricane Rita made landfall during the early morning hours of Saturday, September 24, 2005. The convergence of two major evacuation routes, U.S. Highways 59 and 69 in Lufkin, created something of a choke point in the city. Traffic slowed to a crawl as area hotels, gas stations, and restaurants became congested with evacuees. Lufkin's population swelled to between 50,000 and 55,000 during the 24 hours leading up to the storm. The city's 25 designated shelters filled up quickly, and as a result, many other churches, organizations, and residents also opened their doors to provide assistance. The sheer number of evacuees looking to fill their gas tanks and keep moving created a severe fuel shortage in the city. Vehicles were lined up by the hundreds, hoping to refuel at stations that had any amount of gas remaining in their storage tanks. Providing adequate security at service stations proved to be a real challenge. And while fuel for emergency vehicles had been set aside, citizens and evacuees had limited access to fuel for their own vehicles. Shortages continued for several days longer as distributors had problems delivering fuel to the area. Because all local shelters were already over capacity, more than 70 buses filled with evacuees were fueled at the Texas Department of Transportation's Lufkin district on Friday morning so they could seek shelter in other cities. Preparation for the storm and the ensuing relief effort involved employees from every City of Lufkin department who worked side by side with local, state, and federal agencies, institutions, and organizations to ensure that Lufkin could not only provide shelter to evacuees, but also protect and serve the needs of its own citizens. U.S. Representative Louis Gohmert delivered 2 truckloads of food and water to the city on the eve of the hurricane.
Every church parking lot full, you know, every church playground had kids of all colors playing. Yeah. It's just really wonderful to see where everybody
get our expo as a last resort for the folks that are just stranded with nowhere to go. But we did learn, we just got some more fuel in town, and they're filling now.
Really?
And we got about 200 cars we're filling now. Yeah. And that's going to get a lot of people out of town that's still stranded right now.
Well, I tell you, Jacksonville, we stopped 3 different places where we got, actually 4. Third place we stopped had gas and got in line to fill these things, and as I pulled up to the pump, they said it's out, and they put out of gas on the pump. And so then I asked the lady, where can I find gas? I'm just trying to get to Lufkin. And she said, let me tell you, and she told, and we went around and went down Bolton Street, got to a place that had some. got in line, filled them up.
This is on a half tremendous. We got people that dehydrated.
So it's mainly snack stuff, yeah, cookies and things, graham crackers.
The City of Lufkin's Emergency Management Department coordinated the response and recovery efforts of the City of Lufkin to Hurricane Rita. The Emergency Operations Team also included a number of Angelina County agencies as well. The Emergency Operations Center was activated days before the storm hit and remained in operation for much of the following week. Lufkin High School served as a check-in point for evacuees seeking shelter in the city. Lufkin's police and fire departments worked tirelessly during the storm and its aftermath. Police worked traffic, provided security at shelters, and guarded gas pumps. Firefighters and paramedics provided around-the-clock care at Red Cross and special needs shelters. During the weeks surrounding Hurricane Rita, some 3,358 911 calls were placed to the city's dispatch center. Another 21,248 calls were placed to the call center's non-emergency lines. Both lines average a normal weekly volume of 600 calls. Lufkin police were dispatched to 1,100 calls during the week, close to double what the department usually handles in a 7-day period. Firefighters responded to 174 calls, much higher than their weekly average of 30. EMS, which typically responds to around 130 calls each week, responded to 461 calls during the week surrounding the storm. More than 81,000 calls were handled through EOC and call center hotlines during the crisis. The city's website, which had current evacuee information posted hourly, received up to 4,000 visits per day. The information posted on the website also reduced the time required for phone calls, in that operators referred callers to the website if they had internet access. Before the storm arrived, city employees helped set up shelters, prepare essential equipment, clear streets and drainage structures of debris, and set up the city's Emergency Operations Center. During the days surrounding the actual storm event, city staff manned phone lines at the EOC and City Hall, maintained operation of their various departments, and helped make sure shelters ran smoothly and were well stocked with supplies. Relief efforts carried out by the city personnel after the storm passed included the removal of debris, the restoration of city services, and continued assistance at area shelters. The Lufkin-Pitzer Garrison Civic Center was used as a special needs shelter and housed more than 200 evacuees during and after the storm. The city of Lufkin, fortunate to have a zoo featuring animals displayed in natural habitats, experienced the need to make sure those animals were brought inside and cared for during the storm. Ellen Trout Zoo employees made sure that all large and dangerous animals were safely locked into their night houses before the storm hit. Loose items were stored or tied down, and extremely dangerous snakes were bagged and locked in indoor containers as well. The city's Kurth Memorial Animal Shelter housed more than 400 pets brought to town by evacuees during the storm. The George H. Henderson Jr. Exposition Center also housed a number of animals, like horses, that were too large to be housed at the city shelter.